Hey, what's going on, guys? Just a little bit different type of video here today, as I just kind of have a bit of sort of like model making philosophy that I want to share with you guys, something that I've talked about many times over the past, many years. And I recently saw a post online that I replied to, kind of talking about the same thing that I'm going to talk about here in this video. And I figure it kind of warranted making a video about that. Hopefully you guys might share the video around just so that we can kind of share this thought, which I think is a valuable one, with more people around in the community, especially those people who might be newer into the community, people who might be more beginners when it comes to Gunpla building and just kind of model making in general. And that is related to developing your skills and growing as a Gunpla builder or a modeler, however you want to label yourself as, because there does seem to be a kind of thought, especially with a lot of people who are newer, who are more beginners, that the way to increase their kind of level up as a modeler, as it were, be kind of like to start off with high grades, and then they kind of go up in skill level to master grades, and then when they're ready for it, they go up in skill level to a perfect grade, and that's like master builders work on perfect grades, right? But really, it's not really quite like that, I think, and again, this is something that I've talked about a lot before, but really kind of the only difference, the main difference between high grades, master grades, and perfect grades is really just the part count. The actual process that you go through to just putting the kit together is going to be exactly the same. You cut the parts out, you put them together following the manual, and there's really nothing that much more complicated about a perfect grade compared to a high grade, compared to an SD. I mean, there's slightly different skills involved for each type of kit, and especially if you're comparing like some older kits like from the 80s, where that you have to glue. Those are honestly probably much more challenging to build than even a perfect grade. If a 144 scale Gunpla kit from the 80s that is not at all color accurate, everything has seam lines on it, everything has to be glued, the articulation is super limited. I mean, if you've ever worked on one of those, you know that those are, present so many more challenges as a modeler than, like a perfect grade, even if you're talking like one of the earlier perfect grades. So what I would suggest for those of you who might be newer to the hobby is not to think about Gunpla grades in terms of like scaling difficulty, but if you really want to develop your skills and kind of develop yourself as a modeler, I would say the way to do that is not by, building a bigger kit, but by developing your skills, whether that be, painting, or if you're not ready for painting, you can try just like seam line removal, mold line removal, just trying to improve your, your basic skills of just cutting and removing the parts and like removing nubs properly. I mean, just building on basic skills. You don't have to go into it going from just, you're a beginner in your snap building kits, and then all of a sudden you're building like dioramas and custom building and kit bashing and scratch building and doing all this. Some people do, and they can do that, and it's just, there's a lot of different kind of roads of progression that people go through, and you don't have to go on any of those necessarily. You could just enjoy, just snap building your kits just straight out of the box, no painting, no seam line removal, no nothing, and that's what you enjoy to do with your kits, and that's perfectly all right. I'm just saying that if you want to improve as a modeler in terms of like skill level, developing your actual modeling skills is the way to go about that, more so than just thinking like, oh, I don't know if my skills as a modeler are developed enough to take on a perfect grade. Honestly, you could build a perfect grade as your first kit ever and have a perfectly good time with it, the same as you would for a high grade or anything else. So the other thing to consider, of course, is that there's a lot of variety within lines. Even like if you take a 1999 master grade compared to a 2019 master grade, I mean, they're all very different. So you can't even put like master grade in like one box. There's a lot of variety there. Even with perfect grades, some of the first perfect grades compared to some of the much more recent perfect grades, there's a very big difference in terms of what you would expect, how much like extra work is going to be required in terms of detail painting, detailing them up, seam lines. Even some of the early perfect grades have seam lines on them. So there's a lot of variety in kits, and so developing your skills as a modeler, how to address these issues is the best way to make yourself basically like a Swiss Army knife of sorts, so that basically you have a tool or you have a skill to be able to address any type of problem that comes along your way. So, once you have all these basic skills, developed, then whatever kit you get, you can address that. If you break a part, you know how to fix it. If you have a seam on that you need to remove, you know how to fix that. If you want to custom paint something into different colors, you know how to, use your different skills to paint different parts, detail painting, painting by airbrush or painting by hand. There's a lot of different skills that you can develop. I mean, and then it's getting into, scribing and, detailing up, scratch building, 3D printing, whatever else you want to develop into. But again, that's all just a personal choice. I'm not the kind of person that says like, you should try something new with each build and you should try every new build, you should try to push yourself. by learning something new. I don't think that necessarily. I think that that's fine if you can do that, but I think you also just need to enjoy the process too. And if you're like pushing yourself to the point that it's making it not enjoyable or making it frustrating or making it not cost effective too, because buying new tools and paints and stuff, all costs money. So, I mean, there's a lot of things to consider, but just something that I thought I would share and I thought would be an interesting thing for people to think about, like I said, especially if you're newer into the hobby. So if you are, welcome, and, I hope that you find the videos here on the channel helpful. Over the years, I've had a lot of tutorial type videos and work in progress type videos that I think you might be able to learn a lot from, but there's a lot of other people on the platform, of course, here that have a lot of great tutorials. So if you search around, there's a wealth of information out there that you can use to learn and learn new things and develop your skills as a modeler. But if you guys have any other kind of thoughts on the topic or ideas or suggestions, let me know, and also let other people know down in the comments. Share your thoughts on the subject down in the comment section. And of course, if you enjoyed this kind of shorter, just kind of topic discussion video, leave a like, make sure that you're subscribed if you're not subscribed yet. I appreciate it, guys. Thank you so much. You can check out some more Gunpla tools, paints, supplies, and everything else on USA Gundam Store. The website link is down in the video description as always. Check that out. And until next time, hope you guys are doing well. I'll see y'all later. Bye-bye.